Hello, Jumbo ChoroQ fans. Anyway, so not too many Jumbo ChoroQs are made. I think this one was used because there's a giant swatch of silver paint missing from there. Anyways, I guess the hood can pop open based off the other one that I reviewed. These are the plastics it's made out of, and this came out in 2004, so 20 years old now. And even though no, it is new, but just poor quality control. I don't know if these things are like freebies or if they gave them, away, or they actually sold at retail. But thankfully, they only made like 4 different castings. No, 3 castings. Because this one, there's a road version of it. There's the classic Hakosuka, which I reviewed, and then there's like a Volkswagen Beetle, the classic Beetle, and then that's it. 3 castings, 4 colorways, I guess. All right. This. Yeah, so look at this. This thing's just a giant chunk of silver paint is missing there, which is a really unfortunate thing, even though it's brand new. I'm gonna have to get some clippers. Where are my crappy bad clippers here? Okay. You know, I think the other ones came with a gold coin, but I don't see any such a thing in this one. So maybe that's the big ChoroQ. Anyways, this one doesn't clearly come with any sort of coin. That's fine by me. It's just got more garbage in my opinion. Alright, so since we're on the bottom here, you can see it's tampo printed with what the car is, patrol car. It says 04. It's plastic wheels, but the rears have a strip of rubber for grip because there is an actual wind-up motor back in there. See? So it is just a giant pullback toy. Seems a little too nice to be ramming into walls, though. On the back, you can see this sticker. It's literally a paper sticker telling you what it is. These 2 really lame exhaust pipes just molded into the bumper, not even a separate piece. Pretty lame tail lights as well, just painted red, but at least they're painted. They hollowed out the wing struts there. So the Japanese text for the police force. A little bit of a door handle detail. Pretty thin panel gaps considering how big it is. That unsightly scratch there from the factory. This is actually matte finish here in the vent and down here on the chin spoiler, but the rest of it is glossy, so that's kind of interesting. The grille is also matte finish. It's nice that they got those textures in. And then it's weird because it just says R. It doesn't say GTR, so that's strange. Yeah, I would have assumed they would have this licensed and that should say GTR. I think this grille might be a separate piece because there's good separation and these little bumps here. Yeah. It looks like it's going around those bumps. This side here, a little fuel filler, a little funny box section. The windows are recessed quite nicely. Standard 5 spokes from Choro. And then you got this translucent red light bar. Kind of loose, it's probably screwed in on the other side. So I think it might be a totally blacked out canopy. I can't see much of the... I can't see through that now. There's a motor down in there, and so let's pop this thing. It opens the hood, which is kind of a weird thing because there's nothing in the engine bay, right? So there's a little mechanism. It's got a spring behind it, I guess. So it's just weird to have, right? Maybe they should have not had a hood at all and just made a cheaper product. There's like a giant bubble here. I don't know if that's in the paint. Probably must be, right? So, very basic. Just like a very basic ChoroQ. It's just that it's massive in size. Try to get this stupid wire thing out of there. So you might ask, how big is it? That's a good question. to the tip of this wing. Boy, it might be like 25 centimeters. Sorry, I can't even. This thing's so big, it's out of frame. Yeah, I'd say 25 centimeters or maybe 10.5 inches. To the actual coin holder, boy, maybe 25.5, 26 centimeters, somewhere in that ballpark. So quite big. So I'll probably do a custom job. I'm gonna have to look up the wheels. I don't know if I'm gonna just go for the stock wheels because it is a police car after all. What I don't know is what I'm gonna do inside of here. You know, it's clearly some opportunities. So let me come back. And we're back. Yeah, so I made a few modifications, of course. The first, as you can see, I 3D printed my own wheels. They look like regular R34 wheels. They're not exactly the same. They're supposed to be more rounded in certain areas. And also my 3D printer isn't the greatest, so there's some step lines, and this one had a defect apparently there. I painted that stuff in, and then I just made my own aftermarket rotors, as you can see, that I've been glued in. You can also see there's actually 5 black spokes behind that original chrome thing, but you can just take the thing apart and push them out from the back side. Alright, so it still has the spring motor effect and all that stuff, but I don't really care. So the wheels are the same on both sides. On the back here, I kind of left the exhaust alone because they would have just left it stock, a police car. And then I 3D printed my own taillights, and again, you can see some defects. There's actually air pockets because it's a liquid vat printer, and sometimes you get air pockets. I mixed up the paints a little bit, just regular red, and then a metallic red marker for the inside there, and then some orange for those inners. And then I 3D printed my own license plate with the GTR badge and the Japanese police badge. Okay, so on the side and the top, nothing is different, but things get a little better on the front end. So I added these are grills with the fog lights that these police cars seem to have. And then I added some 3D printed silver. I painted those silver, those little markers. And then I also removed the original grill and 3D printed my own with the police thing on it. And then I added these brackets / red police chase lights. I touched up that little scratch that was there. And then the real magic is on the bottom here. So Motorhelix makes 1/18 scale engines, and they happen to make the RB26DETT, which truthfully may not have been in a police car, but it's the inline 6 that powers, you know, this generation of Skylines. So I had to modify this push button thing a little bit because they didn't know if the engine would fit in the first place. Alright, so there's the Motorhelix engine, and there was this, you know, big chunk of plastic with the original push-up, and I shaved all that out and then went back and added this thinner piece of metal. I also clipped down the radiator fan post, and so it clears it now because it was colliding before. So yeah, alright, so then I 3D printed a coolant tank, the battery thing, the shock struts, and this stock brace. And I actually made a mistake where this thing was like 1 millimeter too narrow. So I actually had to cut it and then added a steel bar like the real thing would have to adjust the tension. Because after 3D printing, the whole thing warped. So that's just what happens with, you know, 3D prints. They warp a lot. Okay, so here we have some sort of the brake master, and I'm not sure what that little thing is for, that little fluid reservoir, but yeah, I put it in there. And then I 3D printed my own elbows with the like Canon type of filters. And this red hose going to the intercooler is just a big electrical cable. Alright, this one, there's just nothing there. It's just conveniently going underneath the coolant tank, so you can't tell what's happening. So I think it worked out alright. I was quite fortunate that this even fit. I had no idea if it would fit into the thing. I thought I was going to actually have to cut away this whole firewall just to make the thing fit. But I ended up chopping off the whole back end, the transmission of this engine model kit, and then it's just sitting flush back there. And I didn't continue off the hoses, you know. But anyways, it looks a lot better than just a vacant area that was there before. I don't even understand why they would have this. Like, what was ChoroQ thinking? Was it meant to store 2 ChoroQs or something? This opening? I don't know. It's just kind of weird. So anyhow, that is it. This thing's so big, the camera's so far away. So as you can see, the spokes are much more rounded on the Nissan, but I decided to not do that on mine. You'll also notice that these police cars have this windbreaker. I think it's to keep things from getting the windshield dirty. It deflects air and maybe cans and rocks, who knows. But since I don't have clear resin that 3D prints consistently, I didn't even bother making that thing. But you'll see it does have the silver or clear whatever lights there and some additional fog lights underneath there. So that's what I was basically looking at, this photograph and trying to copy it. Okay, so other ChoroQ wise, here's a standard size ChoroQ police car. So it doesn't have, you know, the details so much, but it is small, right? Look how ridiculously small it is compared to, or look how ridiculously large this Jumbo is. It is no joke how large it is. Here's another brand though. This is a freebie from Suntory Boss. You buy 2 cans of coffee or a can of coffee in Japan and you get some free toy car every now and then. And this thing has more details. The clear windbreaker thing, the red lights, the Japanese logo. It's just, it looks more like the photograph. Even the painted lights in the back. And it's a much more shallow deformation compared to the ChoroQ. The wheels are more specific. No, they're not. They're not 6 spokes. Alright, then there's another line of Choros called Chibiko, which are even smaller. And so this is a lamer one here, but this one is quite impressive. Look, it actually has more detail than the regular full-size one. It's got the lights. Okay, it's got orange lights there, but it's got the windshield thing, and it's got the triangular police bar where this one doesn't, right? So this Chibiko is actually quite better. It doesn't have you know, specific wheels. None of these do, but yeah, this is amazingly good. It really is. So yeah, Jumbo ChoroQ is very, very jumbo. Sorry for the bad, you know, contrast. The camera can't deal with the black bottom and the white top, so I'm trying to focus on the wheels. But alright, so this is an interesting project. I'm glad to know the engine fit because this makes me want to buy the blue version. This is a regular, this casting without the police light, and it's just a blue R34, which is probably the most popular color the R34 people remember as. I actually had one on order, it's just that Customs wanted a bunch of money, so I told Customs to go F themselves. And I took the loss. I lost $100 because Customs wanted to milk me for more money. So I might have to source it again just because I know this engine will fit. And then I'll have a different version that, you know, won't be a police car. The one I actually really want. Alright, well that's going to have to come later on because I don't know when I'll be able to get one of those cars. These things are long out of production and they're big. So they cost a lot to ship. Okay, well, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next Choro video.